Yo, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be talking about some new Scream 6 images that we have just gotten. Um, and I want to start off, because by saying that, some of these pictures we've already seen, so I'm not going to get like too into them that much. I'm not going to talk about them that much, but because like a lot of these pictures that I'm gonna show you are kind of just extended shots of pictures we've already seen. So I'm not gonna talk about them too much, but we got the subway station picture image right here, which we've already seen. Like I said, we talked about it, and but like we see like right here in this picture, like the entrance to the subway station, which they have something covering it right here in this image, as you see. But I assume, because they're still working on it and whatnot. They're still working on the entrance, to the subway station, and they're still, probably like working. They're probably still doing stuff on that. So yeah, I assume that's the case. But yeah, like this is the entrance way to the subway station, and we also have, this a few images here of like apparently this is like more shots of the college campus, and all like literally the subway station and this picture that right here, they all take place like around the college campus area, which surprised me because like I didn't think they would have that many things take place around the college campus area. This is obviously not the college campus. Well, but it looks like it looks like it could be part of it though. Like if that makes sense. Like it's not like the building, it's not the building to to the college campus, but it looks like it's like part of the college campus, just like in that area. But and it kind of looks like some type of museum or some type of like, you know, it looks like some type of play or something, because they have like the statues and like the little the art pictures over here, and all that stuff. So yeah, I don't really know. Like I've said it before. Like, are they gonna do some type of play or like some type of like musical or some? They're gonna have like some type of museum. Like I don't know. I've been thinking about that, and I really do think that it's possible, especially the museum thing, because I saw like Killjoy Jake's video, and like I never covered it just because I didn't feel like it was important. But he had like a picture on his like this video of Scream 6 that he was talking about, and it was like a picture of like this ghost face mannequin doll, and there's like it was like some type of mannequin, and then there's like another mannequin statue looking thing next to it. It was like a skeleton or whatever. And like what if they have some type of museum, you know, in Scream 6? Like I really do think that's possible. Killjoy Jake is, when I saw his video, he's the main one that brought that thought to me. But now that we see this picture, like this place really it looks like a museum or like some type of you know, theater, like some type of like acting theater, not like a movie theater, but some like an acting theater or something like that. Like it really does. But I don't know, it's just cool to see because like like I said, there's so many things that they can add and do for the Scream 6, the New York setting. They can explore different things and do different things that we've never seen before. And seeing them, some type of museum take place for Scream 6, like I feel like that would be cool, you know. But Yeah, I don't know. We, but I also wait, hold on. Oh yeah, because I was gonna say that I also want to just give a shout out first of all to the people that I found this picture from. It's on Twitter. It's from Tristan. I screenshotted it and everything. Go follow Tristan on Twitter. He's the one that, gives me, well, he doesn't like personally give me the info because I don't know him, but like, he's the one that that puts out Scream 6 info constantly, and I just see it every single time, like right away. And like, he's the reason why I even know like a lot of the Scream 6 info like half the time. So shout out to Tristan. Um, but it's originally from Tamala75, so go follow her as well. Um, go follow her, go follow Tristan, go follow both of them. And I just want to give a shout out to them. Go follow them. I want to give credit where credit is due. So yeah, you guys go follow them. They post all types of Scream info and content, and they're always posting news about it. So yeah, go follow them if you want news and info and stuff. And yeah, shout out to them. But yeah, that's really all I had to say about that, to be honest. Like, there's only these few images, and I just wanted to talk about them a little bit. Like I said, I wasn't gonna talk about them that much. There's not really much to talk about. So yeah, there's not. I'm not really gonna talk about them as much unless we get more, news or images or whatever on Scream 6. Then I'll cover it. But for now, this is really all we got, and that's really all I have to say about that. But now, I want to talk about something interesting here because, as you guys know, you know, Scream is my favorite franchise. Oh, what the heck? Liana Liberato just posted something on Instagram. I don't know what it is, but she's obviously you guys know like she's part of the Scream 6 cast, but and I follow her on Instagram and whatnot, and like she posts like some Scream 6 images with like Melissa Barrera or Jasmine Savoy or whoever. And like yeah, I follow her on Instagram and keep track of what like practically any person from the Scream 6 cast, like I just follow them and just see what they post about just so I can get some kind of like background of what they're doing or if I could get anything interesting that they post, like I don't know. But yeah, I follow all of them, but yeah, she just posted something. I don't know what it is, but anyways, you guys know Scream is my favorite franchise. It's my favorite horror franchise. And around the time that, Scream had came out, horror it was dying. It was dying and a lot of, horror movies at that time, like, people didn't really care for them anymore. Especially slashers. Like slashers were struggling a lot, but so were other categories of horror as well. Like any genre of horror around the 90s, like were just struggling because, a lot of people around that time just didn't care for horror that much anymore. But Scream, was a game changer and it really did, you know, revitalize the horror genre. It changed the horror genre forever and it did something special for a lot of horror movies and just the horror genre in general. Like it did so much. It inspired a lot of horror movies that came after it. And Scream is just Scream 96 specifically is what I'm talking about here. But just the Scream franchise in general, but specifically right now, I'm talking about like, with Scream 96, that movie revitalized the horror genre and it brought it back to life. It resurrected the horror genre and the horror space, and you know, it just it brought something legendary to the to the horror, you know, to the horror, genre, and just horror movies in general. It brought something legendary and iconic for it, and around that, and this is kind of what I'm gonna get into because I see a lot of horror movies these days. Like it's almost like it's almost like it's kind of the same thing, like how it was in the '90s, where after Scream '96 came out and Scream 2 came out, you saw like a lot of horror movies. They were like not, I wouldn't say copying Scream, but they were like taking inspiration from Scream, and you can tell, like Halloween H2O, the faculty, which is like an alien, you know, more of a sci-fi type movie, I guess. Cherry Falls, Urban Legends, I Know What You Did Last Summer, um, like a whole bunch of horror movies, like back then in the '90s, the late '90s, were taking so much inspiration from Scream, and we're trying to bring that kind of you know they were trying to do what Scream did, which no, in my opinion, I don't think any of them did anything close to what Scream did. Scream is legendary, it's iconic, and I don't think anything will ever, well, at least because obviously there's you know other things that are better than Scream to other people. So I guess that like I guess when it comes to horror franchises, and which one's your favorite, I guess that's debatable for a lot of people. But when it comes to at least like you know movies that try to almost mimic and like take inspiration from Scream, none of them did it better than what you know Scream had already established for itself. None of them did it better than Scream, and that's just my opinion. And Scream, it really was a game changer. But yeah, like around that time, a lot of horror movies and slashers like were literally, they were trying to just, they were trying to be just like Scream, and it was really cool to see, and but I wasn't around that time, because you guys probably don't know, but I'm actually like I'm actually 17, or turning 17. I'm about to turn 17 in like 3 days, and what's it called? Like I wasn't around for the '90s. You know, I'm a I was born in the 2000s, but even I know that how much of an impact Scream had on the horror genre. Back then, and even now, and I appreciate Scream for what it is, and you know how much life it brought to the horror genre. So there's no denying that at all. And like I said, a lot of horror movies around that time were trying to be just like Scream. They were trying to be, you know, they were trying to copy the tropes and the whole, like the kills, or just the tone, the atmosphere, the characters, the murder mystery, the meta-ness, like everything. A lot of horror movies at that time were trying to do what Scream did, and it was just a cool thing to see, you know, that how much of a impact Scream had on the horror genre back then. That it inspired that many horror movies. It's just cool to see. But I feel like even now, Scream is having such a big impact on the horror genre because if you look at, you know, if you look now, with the current year that we're in, 2022, you see a lot of horror movies still similar, like they have that similar, you know, vibe and, you know, not just vibe, but they have the similar, tone and tropes and everything that Scream does. A lot of horror movies these days, um, they do and they use, and like even TV shows, which I'm gonna get into right now. Um, like Scream, it's a game changer even till this day. You see a lot of horror movies these days and TV shows take inspiration from Scream, and I'm gonna list some examples. Pretty Little Liars. Pretty Little Liars is a TV show, um, which I'm probably gonna do a review on that actually, because um, I never did a review on that TV show yet, but I might do it and just give my thoughts on the episodes that I've seen so far and what I think um about it so far, and just theories and opinions and all that stuff. I might do a review on that, but what's it called? What I'm trying to talk about here though is more so just you know Pretty Little Liars is it's a TV show, and it's literally just like Scream, literally. Like the meta-ness, the self-awareness, you know, the horror movie references, like literally everything about this TV show is just like Scream. It's literally just like Scream. Or or you can say it's even like the TV shows, the Scream TV series. It's like either way, it's like Scream in general. It's so, very similar and, has, a lot of things that, make it just like Scream. Even, you know, Tabby, from Pretty Little Liars right here, this character, uh, I can't zoom her right here. Tabby, she's literally she's literally just Randy, you know, or Mindy. She's literally just like them. And, because she's like the horror buff. She's like the one who references horror movies constantly and is, just into horror movies. Literally, that's literally what she's exactly a carbon copy of. And it's cool to just see how much inspiration this TV show has with the Scream franchise. And, it pays homage to Scream even in this show. And it even directly references it. Like, because in the first episode, it had like some Easter eggs to the Scream franchise. Like, cause like in the first episode, they had this like moment where they had this like scene where Tabby gets a text, and on the text it said, "What's your favorite scary movie?" So at first they just had like an Easter egg, but then they directly referenced the franchise in like episode 4, which I've only seen like episode 1. I only seen because I they came out with episode 6 and 7 like on Thursday, and I've only seen um all six. I've only seen 6 episodes. I haven't seen episode 7 yet. I haven't got the time to it, but I'm probably gonna watch it later today. But in episode 4, they directly referenced the Scream franchise because like they were Tabby. She was like in the classroom giving a whole monologue on horror movies and all this stuff and horror tropes and like they even make fun of horror movies in this show. Like they don't just reference them. They make fun of them. They almost have like similar scenes to certain horror movies like Carrie and whatnot. And like, bro, like like she was like going on a whole monologue and talking about horror movies and where it all started, with it went from Scream and the Friday the 13th, Halloween, and then all the way to Psycho. And she was talking about how, well, I'm not gonna get into everything that she was talking about, but she directly references Scream, and like it's just cool to see how much inspiration that this TV show had, with the Scream franchise. But yeah, like this is literally an example right here. This this TV show is literally just Scream. If I would say if Scream the TV series did an episode four, I mean not episode four, did a season four, this is what Pretty Little Liars would be. I feel like that's like the best example I could give. But yeah, this TV series is literally just like Scream, in many ways. Even when because I think it was like in episode 4 or 5, the killer talks, and he has like this weird voice. It's almost like he had like some type of voice changer, and he sounded just like Ghostface as well. So it's like, you can tell this movie had so much inspiration from Scream. I mean, not movie, TV show. Like, this TV show had so much inspiration from Scream, and it's paying homage to just the Scream franchise in general. But and I just think it's cool to see, even what's it called? Bodies, bodies, bodies. Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is like it came out recently this month, and it's literally I actually haven't seen it yet, but I saw some spoilers on Killjoy Jake's channel, which it's not his fault because I wanted to honestly I wanted to see the spoilers for what he was talking about with this movie. I don't know why, but I just felt like it. I was just like, you know what? Give me the spoilers. I'm just gonna watch it. I don't care. I don't know, because like Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is not really something I really care. It just doesn't really look like something I should even care about getting spoiled for me, because it's not like it's gonna be like a movie that I'm like overhyped about. So it's like I didn't really care for spoilers. So I just, whenever Killjoy Jake was like, "Oh, we're gonna talk about spoilers now for Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. You should leave." I was just like, "Nah, I'm just gonna stay and watch." But yeah, and I just continued watching it, which I'm not gonna give spoilers myself though, because even though I watched his video and I didn't care for the spoilers, I'm not gonna give spoilers out for anyone else who hasn't seen it and might want to watch it. So, don't worry, I'm not gonna do that myself for you guys. But all I'm gonna say is that Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is similar to Scream as well in terms of like, the teen. It's like a teen, you know, a teen, like, slasher, but it's not really a slasher from what I've heard. It's not it's not really a slasher because it doesn't necessarily go into that horror slash, you know, brutal kills and just like your typical slasher, it's not necessarily. So I guess in terms of that aspect of this movie, it's not necessarily like Scream because it's not necessarily this Bodies, Bodies, Bodies is not, it's not a slasher. Like, but it does have, the teens. There's a group of teenagers and, house party. Satire. It has satire because it's making fun of Gen Z. It's um, it's a murder mystery. Who done it? So it has similarities to Scream, and even A24, which is the company that distributed this movie and produced it and whatnot. They literally said themselves, they were like last year they were talking about this movie, and I found the tweet like recently. They were like, oh, every generation needs every generation needs no, they said this generation needs its new Scream or whatever. It was something like that. And obviously, I don't really think that was a good thing to say because, I mean, when you're comparing your movie to, something like Scream, I mean, you're gonna get people hyped up and people and get people rattled up and you know like and you're probably gonna end up leaving people disappointed because they're expecting certain things because the fact that you said it's supposed to be like this generation Scream or whatever. And people are expecting it to be just like Scream, and then they see it's not, and then they get disappointed. So that's why I felt like they should have never said that in the first place. But you know, from what I've seen with the trailer and the spoilers that I got, which like I said, I'm not going to give direct spoilers, but it is similar to Scream, and it takes some type of inspiration from it, which is cool. But you know that's kind of my point of what I'm trying to say is like back then, Scream was inspiring so many horror movies, but even now it's still inspiring horror movies. But I think it's mainly because of Scream 5 that the fact that Scream is even becoming relevant with these horror movies these days because I felt like without Scream 5, a lot of these horror movies probably wouldn't even want to pay homage or acknowledge or even remember about the Scream franchise if Scream 5 wasn't made. Because the last Scream movie that was made was, it was before Scream 5 was obviously Scream 4, and they came out like 11 years ago. And, if Scream 5 never came out this year, a lot of, you know, it probably wouldn't have even been acknowledged. And, you know, by any other horror movies these days because it wouldn't necessarily make sense for any horror movie to just want to be similar to Scream when the Scream franchise been hasn't came back yet, and it's probably not even, it wouldn't even be remembered if it wasn't for Scream 5. So yeah, I think that's why we're getting similar movies to to the Scream franchise, and it's being remembered now because of Scream 5 and whatnot. Like I said, is a game changer. Scream revitalized the horror genre like three times. It did it with Scream '96. It did it with Scream 4 because it made a comeback after Scream 3. And they came back after so long and did a commentary on reboots and remakes, and it it revitalized the horror genre once again. And even after Scream 4, we got what, like a year later, we got another horror movie that was similar to Scream. It was like, I think it was called like Cabin in the Woods. Um, yeah, it was yeah, it was Cabin in the Woods. Like literally a year later after Scream 4, we got Cabin in the Woods, and it was similar to Scream in terms of like just being so meta and self-aware. But it's like it's not just like your typical like slasher because it was like more so. It was slasher. It was sci-fi. It was you know supernatural. It was like everything. So Cabin in the Woods was a little different, but in terms of like the meta and self-awareness, it had that. And I think Cabin in the Woods was made because of Scream 4. Scream 4 made horror movies remember about Scream in the first place. So a lot of horror movies, they wanted to be similar to Scream once again. And then Scream 5 comes out. And it ends, and then it's the same thing. Other horror, other horror creators remember about Scream. So now they want to, acknowledge the Scream franchise and be similar to it and pay homage to it and take inspiration from it, you know? Scream revitalized the horror genre 3 times, and it made a comeback 3 times. So, you know, it's just cool to see. And and I don't necessarily think Cabin in the Woods was made because of Scream 4, but you know, it's possible, but I don't know. I'm just saying, that there was a lot of every time Scream has was when Scream was first made, and then every time it would come back with Scream 4 and then Scream 5, you saw just many horror movies that ended up coming out that were similar to it. So it's definitely a possibility that Cabin in the Woods, like the people who made Cabin in the Woods, they were probably like, oh, the Scream franchise is now back, and it's you know we're gonna now we remember it, and we're gonna acknowledge it, and we're gonna make a movie that's similar to it, but with our own different things. So I'm just saying it's a possibility, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure about that, but I'm just saying, like, just in general, Scream, it revitalized the horror genre in '96 with Scream 4 and now Scream 5. And it's just cool to see how many times, Scream has, you know, how many times Scream has revitalized the horror genre, and how many times it has had a comeback, and you know and then afterwards it would have movies that would be inspired or similar to it, and it's just cool to see that. So yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to say. Even Happy Death Day, which I've seen both movies, and Happy Death Day was pretty similar to Scream as well. um Happy Death Day, but it came out before Scream 5, so I wouldn't necessarily say it came out because a Scream movie was made, because the last movie before that was Scream 4, and by the time Happy Death Day came out, it had already been like, 5 6 years. So I don't necessarily think, the Scream franchise. I mean, I don't necessarily think Happy Death Day was made because of the Scream franchise making a comeback with Scream 4, but I do think that because of the Scream movies, it did take inspiration from it, and that's why it had a lot of similarities to it. Happy Death Day was, it was meta and self-aware, and it had, the killer was literally called Babyface instead of Ghostface, and it was literally just like a teen drama type movie, and it was a slasher. So yeah, it's that Happy Death Day is another example of a Scream inspired movie. Um, and what's it called? I'm trying to think of what else, because I was about to say something else as well. Fear Street, the Fear Street trilogy. Yes, the Fear Street trilogy that came out, like, I think it was last year. Yeah, it was last year. Like in 2021, the Fear Street um TV show came out, or the movies, or no, 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 the TV show. I don't know why I said movies. The Fear Street trilogy had came out, and if you guys haven't seen it, I would advise you to go watch it. But I'm not gonna obviously get into spoilers if you guys haven't seen it. But you know that movie, that I mean that the first um what's it called, episode from that trilogy of the Fear Street trilogy was literally just like Scream, because the killer was wearing like a ghost face type costume, and what's it called, even the opening scene was literally just like Scream 96. And like the whole movie was like kind of like meta and self-aware, and like it was basically, just like the whole episode of the Fear Street episode. The first episode of Fear Street was literally just a Scream type episode, and it paid homage to Scream, and it was inspired by Scream, and you can see it. And it came out last year, so it was before Scream 5, but you can tell it was made because of the Scream franchise, or at least with the first episode, because episode 2 and 3 were like different. But even episode 2 and 3, because like episode 2 was paying homage to Friday the 13th, and then episode 3, I think it was, um I can't remember, but episode 3 was, it paid homage to you know other movies and horror movies and whatnot. But yeah, like this is basically, this whole video is just me trying to say that Scream has inspired horror movies throughout all these decades, since it came out, and it's still doing it till this day. And that's basically what I'm trying to say with this whole video. And it's just awesome to see. It's just cool to see that Scream is still inspiring horror movies till this day. So yeah, that's really all I have to say about this. This is really all I had to make a video about on. That's all I wanted to talk about. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below about everything I've said, and let me know what you guys think about this video in general. Like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.